Goosebumps, people!
If you are alive now, then congratulations. Apparently you missed the end of the world that was supposed to happen in 2012. Fortunately for us, the only major thing that happened that year was the entire world falling for the scam of Coney 2012. With hindsight, the world will end in that year was a bit silly, but it's not the first time. Before the turn of the millennium in 1999, we had the Y2K hoax. And no, I'm not talking about Richard Zegler's terrible movie. But the thing is, deep down, we humans love to fantasize about the end of our world. We love to imagine the apocalypse, which will claim all our lives, plunging us into the abyss of life and death in survival scenarios. That's why we love zombie and monster films so much. But there is also a film genre that scratches that itch for us. And yes, I'm talking about disaster movies. You see, a good disaster movie pretending to be a historical drama like Oppenheimer can terrify the Academy Award nominees to give it an Oscar. And some like Titanic can make people think that one of the worst disasters in our history is actually a great love story. Full disclosure, I watched this movie a lot, and yes, Jack would have definitely fit on the plank too. I mean, there was obviously space, but I digress. Now, Roland Emmerich has made a career out of disaster movies for a long time. He gave us classics like Independence Day, Godzilla, and The Day After Tomorrow. It seems he's always cooking up something about how the world will end, and we love him for that. But I personally think that the best prank he ever pulled on us was that film that convinced the majority of people that the world will end 3 years after its release. Yes, I'm talking about the movie 2012. This movie is based on the Mayan calendar hoax and was released in the same year as Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. It made nearly $800 million, which was an incredible amount for the box office in 2009. But considering the movie we got, it's mind-boggling how successful it was. Like most of his movies, the cinematography and visuals are on point here. Roland Emmerich has a great eye for spectacles, especially when it comes to showing destruction on a massive scale. And he loves to destroy noticeable landmarks in his films. Here, he basically drowns the Himalayas and Tibet, and I don't know what the monks did to him to deserve that. But then again, California is hit by earthquakes and Montana gets a volcanic eruption, so I guess they go offline. When you are watching this film, you get the feeling that Roland wanted to make the disaster movies to end all disaster movies. It's like he actually believed that in 2012, the world was actually going to end, so he had to show us the biggest spectacle ever. But enough of the tiny details. Let's dig into the source of this movie. So when this movie begins, an American geologist makes a visit to his friend in India who has discovered that the Earth's core is overheating due to weird signs with solar flares involving neutrinos or something. Well, obviously I'm not a physicist and I can't take this psychobabble seriously. To enjoy yourself here, turn off your brain, this is not Citizen Kane. Besides, we are only here for the disaster porn. So Mr. Geologist gets back to the USA, talks to his connect at the White House and then the president, and within a year, over 46 nations have joined together to build 9 arks in Tibet, which will store some artifacts of the human race and then some people. But it's not just some people you see, it's the important ones who can afford a ticket to the ark, and the price is €1 billion per ticket. Yes, I am being serious here. The plotline for this movie revolves around the world governments planning the death of billions of poor people on Earth, except for the 1% of the 1%. Not even Mr. Burns from The Simpsons is that devious. Now, if you watch this film, there are people protesting oil companies and the news is even talking about mass suicides related to this event. So I am assuming most of the human population knows, or at least those that love conspiracy theories will. Now my question is, given the earthquakes that are occurring all over the world, why the fuck is everyone so calm? I mean, push your mind back to 2020 before the first shutdowns. People were literally fighting over toilet paper at the supermarket, and that was just a lockdown. Yes, I know the movie makes a point to say that the same governments have been killing possible whistleblowers, but the thing is, people are not that stupid. Our survival instincts have been honed through thousands of years of slow and steady evolution, and as such, we tend to sense when our shit is about to hit the fan. It's a matter of life and death after all, but again, I digress. So the majority of this movie is told from the perspective of John Cusack, who is our main character here. And no, I will not call him any other name apart from John Cusack because he's basically playing himself here. Our main character is a failed science fiction writer with an ex-wife and 2 kids, and is now working as a chauffeur for a Russian billionaire.
It's Russian.
He is spending time with his kids at Yellowstone Park, meets a conspiracy theorist played by Woody Harrelson, and learns that the world is ending and the government has been secretly building ships to prepare for it.
Of course!
Of course he doesn't believe him until the billionaire's children tell him that they are going on a ship, and he connects the earthquakes to the ongoing disaster, and he now has to save his family and get them to Tibet so they can get on the ark and live. As far as plot goes, that's entirely it. The rest of this film is pure spectacle, and I will admit that it can be fun watching the world end. I feel like I should warn you that this entire movie plays very fast and loose with the laws of physics, but let me explain. When he first goes to his ex-wife's house to pick up the family, there is an active earthquake. Yet he loads up the entire family in a limousine and starts driving on the road that is cracking up. I mean, I love me some Need for Speed and some Fast and Furious, but this guy is out driving an earthquake while it's actively chasing him. The comedy in this film is mean as hell. Some old people on the road end up getting caught up in the earthquake and they die instantly. Broken pipes are shooting sewage everywhere, cars and trucks and roads are breaking down everywhere, yet this guy is driving through all of this like he's on a Formula 1 track and he is Lewis Hamilton. This movie is wild. By the end of this scene, the entirety of California sinks, and this entire sequence is preceded by a scene of a press conference where the governor of California, based on Arnold Schwarzenegger, tells the press that it's all going to be okay. You see, I had the feeling that Roland was making a comment here, but unfortunately, it went over my head completely. I confess this movie's subtext is too smart for me sometimes. This scene ends with a family on a plane looking at the devastation going on around them. The pilot here has had a few lessons on a single engine plane, yet he's able to fly a Cessna 340 which has twin piston engines to get them out of the disaster. It's the equivalent of having some hours of lessons in a car and being given the keys to a HGV truck on your driving test. You are definitely killing somebody with that thing. And this is why I told you turn off your brain, thinking it will hurt you in this movie. So the next scene takes place in Yellowstone Park and is basically Roland Emmerich's version of Oppenheimer except worse. This volcanic eruption scene is like the explosion of 1,000 nuclear bombs, and the scene pauses long enough to let the conspiracy theorist, who was chosen to die here, drop a one-liner. Hawaii in this film doesn't get off easy. The entire island becomes one giant volcano with lava everywhere, with buildings and resorts melting. And you guys thought Man of Steel was bad. But on a serious note, Michael Bay gets a lot of crap for his excessive bombs and action scenes, especially in films like The Transformers. And Roland here is like Hold My Beer. In every single one of his disaster flicks, there is always a major explosion of some amazing landmark and people just give him a pass. In The Day After Tomorrow, a tornado destroys Hollywood. In Godzilla, he destroys the Chrysler Building and the Brooklyn Bridge. In this movie, Yellowstone is not even as ballsy as destruction. I mean, there is a scene of this film where the little kids, the nuns, the priests and the cardinals are all singing and praying to God in the Vatican. And Roland just sinks the entire Vatican structure, people and all, to the ground. The Vatican dome is squashing people like bugs, and I am thinking, he most definitely gets a hard-on for this. And as if to prove this point, the scene that comes before this horrible destruction is the chief of staff saying, "They have chosen to believe in prayer." Fucking hell, I thought I was the cynic. But as if to show that he's also smart, there is also symbolism in this movie. Like before the destruction of the Vatican, the creation of Adam painting splits in the middle between God and Adam before the roof caves in on the praying cardinals. And the White House here is sunk by a massive tidal wave. But before it happens, the USS John F. Kennedy aircraft carrier crashes into the president and the entire structure. Simply genius. And lest I forget, this movie makes Africa the only continent that didn't sink, and by the end of this film, all the people on the ark are heading there. Roland, I know you mean well and you are trying to make a statement about the humanity returning to its birthplace and all that. But you do know that the last time Africa was nearly colonized by foreigners isn't really a bright spot in our history, right? But I digress. But the best part of this film is when our characters finally get to China. This is the part of the movie where Roland decides to just let go, and that's when all the magic really happens. First off, to get off the plane when they reach the Himalayas, they drive a Bentley top speed out of a cargo plane on frozen ice with no snow tires, yet they manage to stop safely. There are all kinds of animals being airlifted by helicopter into the ark, and no, I'm not kidding, this movie is actually that dumb. It's like Roland read about the story of Noah in the Bible, and he decided to himself, I can improve on this. Instead of the role of God, I will use the role of science. And that's what he went on to do, and it's as ridiculous as it sounds here. When they get to the ark, they have nearly 3 hours. Then all of a sudden they have 30 minutes. It's complete madness as people start rushing to the gates to board the ark, and those are the moments this movie comes alive. The disaster moments. But as much as I enjoy this movie, there are some not so great moments here too. For me, it's mostly when Roland is trying to make a moral argument for what it means to be human. When he slows down this film to discuss the philosophy of morality and the perspective on self-interest and all that jazz, that's the moment when this film always loses me. If I can make you a fitting analogy, it's like booking an escort to come to your place and all they want to do is read you Shakespeare. But here is the problem. You didn't pay for Shakespeare, you just wanted the fun moments. Yeah, you need some human moments in a movie like this. It can't all be hopelessness and destruction. And to be fair, we do get some good depictions here. For example, the noble American president who decides to stay behind with the sinking nation, his chief of staff who's hell-bent on surviving, even sacrificing his mother to do so. There is also the Indian scientist who found out about the disaster, yet is left behind to perish with his family. So many little wholesome human moments like these are throughout this movie. And I'll tell you what, this is when I especially hate this movie. Because that's not what I came to see in my Roland Emmerich disaster film. Show me earthquakes, show me people screaming, and vehicles going boom. That's what I'm here for, and that's what this movie does best. And if you think I'm being unreasonable, it's not like in Godzilla vs King Kong, the kaijus get together, hug and talk about their issues. No, we want to see some destruction and atomic breath. That's the fix we are watching the movie to get. Let's not forget that this is the same man that gave us Stonewall in 2015 and Anonymous in 2011. Let's just say that his grasp on history is light at best. So please, don't try and give me substance, Mr. Emmerich. I do not go to TGI Fridays for the salad. I came for the Jack Daniel's sauce, the full glazed ribs, and some chips. Just give me what I want and you get your tip. But if you do get a chance, check out this movie. It's dumb, it's fun, and it's a good time to spend 2.5 hours on a lazy weekend. Not every film has to be deep. Sometimes you just want to watch some deeper. Till next time, friends.